Thanks, Mike. So, gosh, 15% of companies across Europe are not even aware that this change in law might be coming. Indeed, it is scary stuff, as Mike alluded to. Hi, everybody. As stated, my name is Mike Dunleavy, and I'm from Crown Records Management. My job title there is Head of Professional Services. So, let's assume that we win the considerable battle to make companies aware of the pending legislation. The next logical and obvious question is to ask, what are they going to do about it, and how are they going to prepare for that legislation? And indeed, when I say prepare, I mean prepare now. Why wait? Mike's already alluded to the potential time frame for this legislation, but why wait indeed? Preparation work now, regardless of the final outcome and nuances of the law, will not be wasted, as I will suggest in later slides. At Crown Records Management, we recognise the value of data and protecting what we like to call corporate memory. In the slides that follow, I would like to propose 6 key steps that all businesses could, no indeed should, be taking in order to prepare for all eventualities in an ever-changing data legislation environment. These steps will promote the adoption of basic principles of data collection, data management, data storage, and secure data destruction. These steps, in my opinion, will not only put companies and organisations in good shape for the new EU data protection regulation, when that finally becomes enshrined in law, but it will also have a positive impact on the operational health of the organisations in question. It's not just about compliance. Good data protection governance should not be viewed as an evil overhead. It is in fact all about making your information work more effectively for you in order to drive the success and competitiveness of your business. When we talk about data, we are talking about data in whatever format, digital or physical. Indeed, this impending legal change could be seen as yet another new era for data management, as it encompasses cloud-based data solutions also. With the pace of change we are experiencing in our industry, we are already leaving the first wave of digital applications behind. We are moving, indeed, out of the digital stone age as we look to comply with new laws that cover all data formats and platforms under one banner for the EU 27 countries. So step 1 of this process of getting ready, indeed being ready for the GDPR, is to start with an audit in order to distinguish how much data you are currently storing and how much of that data actually needs to be stored. Are vital business records being stored, or are you in fact storing junk data or data noise? Destroying data that is being stored unnecessarily will help create a clearer picture for the future. For data that needs to be kept, make sure you know where it is being stored, being particularly aware of any cloud storage platforms. Also be aware who uses this data, how is this data accessed, from where and by whom. And finally, what mechanisms are in place to protect the data. In terms of personal data, companies need to be clear why was that data originally captured and for what purpose, while ensuring that data is not being used now or in the near future for any other purpose other than that originally intended, i.e. what was it originally captured for. The key to good data practice is in understanding the value of the data in the first place. That being the case, companies should treat data like an asset. You wouldn't leave an asset in the street for other people to pick up, and it's no different for data, no matter what the format, hard copy or digital, or indeed data in the cloud. Indeed, data formats are exploding as we move to an age of big data and the proliferation of mobile devices, both company and non-company supplied. Tweets, text, voice recording, etc. need to be on your radar when you're carrying out your data audit. Well, if data is an asset, then like any other asset, it needs to be managed once you know what you have got through your audit at step 1. Companies need to make it clear who is responsible for managing this asset. With fines for non-compliance potentially to be set at 5% of global annual turnover, it's vitally important that someone in the business takes ownership and responsibility for staying up to speed with new and evolving laws and regulations. Make it clear which role in your business has responsibility for each type of data, whether it's the IT manager, the CIO, the records manager, the offers manager, or even through enlisting the support and expertise of an outsourced company. So through your spring cleaning audit, you now know what you've got, where it is, and how it is accessed, and you have assigned responsibilities for the asset management. So what next? Sorry for the negative points, but you need to be ready for data breaches. It will soon become compulsory for all companies in the EU to have a system in place for dealing with data breaches, including having slick processes for notifying anyone affected by a breach if the regulator deems it to be a damaging breach. So again, why wait? Companies practice DR, disaster recovery, and carry out penetration tests on IT systems. So why not put in place now a clear set of well-practiced procedures for dealing with a data breach? Not least to identify who's responsible for reporting such breaches, through what mediums and to what timescales. I guess the analogy I would use is a bit like the Freedom of Information Act in reverse. I remember working with companies in the recent past, helping them to ready themselves to be able to adequately respond to incoming information requests they anticipated receiving. Being prepared to deal with data breaches, and just like disaster recovery, we all hope they don't happen, should just become good business practice. So, as Mike Davis alluded to earlier, under the current plans for the legislation, any organisation with more than 250 employees will have to appoint a data protection officer. But regardless of this cut-off point, all companies should think about seeking expert advice at the very least. If you don't want to hire a dedicated DPO or data guardian angel, you may wish to seek some help via a trusted outsourced partner. Crown Records Management, by way of example, offers an IM6 Information Management 6 audit that is designed to assess the data management health of a business, with the output often being suggestions and recommendations for programs of improvement to aid both compliance and, as I said earlier, to make your data and information work more efficiently for your business. The IM6 analysis reviews the following processes around people, policies, strategy around information management, digital records, systems, tools, and finally, business process workflows and how data and information is used and moved through an organisation. So we make it to step 5 in our process of getting ready for the GDPR, and we're nearly there. In future, companies will require explicit consent from individuals to gather their personal data. So again, why wait? Let's get these processes to secure consent in place sooner rather than later. Any organisation capturing and then intending to store personal data should consider what the legitimate grounds for its retention are and how will they communicate this to customers through individuals as we inevitably move from implicit consent to explicit consent. And finally, step 6. None of the steps outlined so far are necessarily easy. They all require a concerted effort, and no more so than this final step. Organizations need to create a company culture where privacy, data privacy, is considered in every process and at every level of the business. A culture of privacy by design and making staff aware of its importance is the key to good data practice as GDPR evolves. And that concludes my slides for today's webinar. Thank you very much for your attention. Should you need any further advice on how your organization could and should start to prepare for the near future GDPR changes, please do get in touch as per the details below. I guess in closing, I'd borrow from the Boy Scouts phrase in terms of being prepared. Please remember, data is an asset to your business and is an asset that needs to be managed. Thank you very much for your time. Over to you, Teresa.